Hello, my lovely people. I hope everyone is well. I've received another case study from one of my viewers, and we're going to break it down today using my program, which I called the Stay or Go Neuroclarity Programme, designed for women on the topic of relationship decision clarity. We will go through the case study together and break it down using the modules in my program. Just a heads up, my coaching program is designed for women who are struggling with decision paralysis in their relationship, whether they don't know if they want to get divorced, whether they want to stay in a relationship. And it also applies to women who've already ended the relationship and don't want to go back to their partner, but they're struggling with the rebound effect and are having to fight the urges to go back. Let's start going through the case study and then you'll understand what I'm talking about. Before we dive into the case study with more detail, I'd like to announce that I offer one-to-one coaching sessions for women who are struggling with this issue, but also I'm offering the self-guided version of the program. So if you are a woman who's struggling with this issue, if you don't know whether you want to stay in a relationship or end it, please message me on Instagram by texting me clarity or drop me an email to the following email address. Alternatively, you can follow the link under this video description to go on my website and send me a message in the Dropbox on my website. You don't have to decide whether you want to have a coaching session with me straight away. The first coaching session is free anyway, so if you don't know what to do, if you don't know how to solve this problem, please feel free to reach out to me. I will help you. I have been in this situation myself before. That's why I've designed this program, and that's why I'm now coaching other women and helping them overcome this decision paralysis, gain clarity on their relationship, and understand what their next right course of action should be. I just want to reiterate, this is not therapy. I'm not offering therapy services. This is coaching. I will not tell you what to do with your relationship. I will help you gain the clarity. I will walk you through the right steps required to reach the clarity on your relationship so that you can make the decision yourself. I do believe that at the core, every single woman knows what the right course of action is. It's just because of fears and confusions and very often years of trauma bonding and very often abuse, we struggle with accessing the clarity on what we should do next in our relationship. So the program is about removing the fears and the insecurities and helping you gain the clarity that you need to make that choice. The choice that you won't regret, the choice that you will be confident in. And the program is based on years of my expertise and experience in neuroscience, the science of decision making, and psychology. I have 3 degrees. I'm a BPS accredited psychologist. I'm also a researcher at UCL, and I've used my knowledge and my experience to design it. Now that I've made this announcement, think about it. And if you have any questions, once again, feel free to reach out to me via Instagram, my email, or on my website. Also, feel free to drop a comment. I respond to all comments. The first call is always free. You can share your problem with me. I will be more than happy to help you. I have years of experience with this. So if you'd like to clarify anything, feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to use the core principles of my program to address the case study. Let's now dive into the case study together and go through it in detail. Hi Lina, I've been watching your videos and I honestly feel like I'm losing the ability to trust my own judgment. I've been in an on and off relationship for almost 5 years. When things are good, they feel really good. He can be caring, affectionate, emotionally open, and makes me feel like we have a deep connection. But when things are bad, I feel emotionally drained, anxious, and confused. And like I'm constantly trying to get back to the good version of the relationship. We've broken up 4 times, and every single time I end up going back. Usually because I start panicking after a few days or weeks apart. I convince myself I overreacted, or that maybe I expected too much. Sometimes I even start missing him so intensely that I physically feel sick and can't focus on anything else. The reason we usually break up is because I stop feeling emotionally safe or secure in the relationship. He becomes distant, inconsistent, shuts down during conflict, disappears emotionally for days, or suddenly acts like I'm too much for needing reassurance. I feel like I spend most of the relationship trying to understand where I stand with him. Okay. Recently, I ended things again after finding out he had been messaging another woman. He says it wasn't cheating and that I'm making it bigger than it is. Part of me knows this relationship is deeply affecting my mental health, but another part of me keeps thinking, what if I'm being too sensitive Okay, so you have doubts. We need to also go through your definition of cheating, because for different people, cheating means different things. So I already have some questions that I would like to ask you. What if I'm being too sensitive? What if I regret leaving? What if this is just my fear of intimacy? Okay, confusion. What if no relationship is perfect and I'm expecting too much? Okay. I feel completely torn between what I feel emotionally and what I logically know. One moment I feel clear that I need to leave. The next moment I feel overwhelming fear, guilt, sadness, and panic. I replay memories constantly and keep focusing on the good moments, even though I know I've spent years feeling anxious in this relationship. Okay, I can see you are feeling a lot of things in this relationship. And, okay, I've also noticed that my body reacts strongly around him now. I feel tense before seeing him. Okay, that's a red flag. My chest tightens when he becomes emotionally distant. But when he suddenly gives me attention again, I feel immediate relief and hope, almost like my nervous system calms down instantly. No, I'm afraid your nervous system is not calm. Your nervous system is on a roller coaster right now. We're going to go into this in more detail. I genuinely cannot tell anyone. Is this love, attachment, fear, trauma bonding? Am I ignoring red flags? Or am I sabotaging something that could work? I don't necessarily want someone to tell me whether to stay or leave. Yeah, I would never tell you what decision to make, because I do believe that every woman already knows what she needs to do. I just want to understand what's actually happening, because I don't think I can see the situation clearly anymore. Okay, so we need to clear the confusion. And I see that you have a lot of fears. Thank you, Sophie. All right, guys, now we're going to go through it. Sophie, I will try to be as brief as I can to give you a short summary of how I would apply my program to your case study, what we need to address. I understand you would like to understand what's happening psychologically, what patterns are present, what may be distorting your clarity, and why and how someone can be emotionally stuck, even though they understand that something isn't working in the relationship. From your email, I highlighted emotional confusion. You also said that when it's good, it's good. You've broken up and gotten back together multiple times already. So the pattern of repeated breakups is present. You experience panic after separation. You've also mentioned emotional inconsistency and body responses, body reactions. Quoting you, you said, "I don't trust my judgment anymore." So in this short video, I'm going to use these as anchors because I only have about 20 to 30 minutes in this video. What is the core problem? Now, guys, let's go through the core problems. What is the core problem in this case study? I'd like to say that the central issue in Sophie's case study isn't the relationship itself. The central issue here is that Sophie can no longer differentiate between fear, attachment, emotional conditioning, nervous system activation, and also genuine clarity. And I believe this is where my program becomes powerful. In my program, I have 8 modules. So module 2 is called Values, Needs, and Boundaries. The first question that I'd like to ask you, Sophie, and the first topic that we need to explore is, does your relationship consistently meet your emotional needs? So what do I mean by emotional needs? I'm talking about consistency, trust, predictability, reassurance, and emotional safety. You've told me in your case study that you repeatedly feel anxious in the relationship, emotionally unsafe, uncertain where you stand. What does this tell me? This tells me that your nervous system is adapting to instability rather than safety in your relationship. So in module 2 of my program, I would go into more detail, use various assessment tools to figure out what needs are not being met in your relationship. In module 3, called Relationship Reality, we would identify the pattern recognition in your relationship. What do I mean by that? We would explore what's actually happening with regards to the on and off cycle, the intermittent reinforcement, emotional inconsistency that you've highlighted, the relief after attention, immediate attention that you gain from your partner, and the clear, present, consistent, repeated emotional destabilization that I'm noticing and picking up from your email. Obviously, this is just one short email and I have so many questions that we have to triple check a lot of parts of your relationship before I can tell you more. But just from this email alone, what's concerning for me is not the isolated moments, it's the pattern. So in module 3, I have tools like the trauma bond assessment, the emotional safety scale, the relationship health index that I've designed using empirical findings, strong scientific substantiation, and once again, theories in behavioral science, the science of decision making. In short, just from this one email, I'm already picking up that your body is giving signs of chronic relational stress. So you said tension, hypervigilance, panic during separation, relief after reconnection, and this is very important information. So in module 3 of my program, we would go through these tools to evaluate the health of your relationship and pick up the patterns that keep recurring. In the next module that I've called Thinking Distortions and Fear, we would go through the cognitive distortions like self-doubt, minimizing, catastrophizing, and emotional reasoning. Because I can see from your email that you are quickly invalidating yourself. You're saying things like, maybe I'm too sensitive, maybe I expect too much, and this is very important. Sophie, I would like to share with you one of the tools that I use in my program, especially in module 4. It's called the Fear versus Fact Mapping tool. And I also want to make it free for everyone else watching who might be struggling with a similar issue. I will leave a link to this tool in the video description, so please feel free to click on that and have a look and fill out this form. And I specifically designed this tool for my clients who are struggling to separate emotion from reality. I've been in this situation myself. I know what it feels like. When you are emotionally overwhelmed, fear starts to feel like the truth. You may start to think, I will never recover if I leave. I'm making a huge mistake. Maybe I'm overreacting. And this tool helps you slow down these thoughts and ask yourself, what are the actual facts here? It's great because it creates psychological distance from overthinking. It also reduces confusion and mental spiraling because most clients in relationship distress are overthinking constantly, replaying conversations, imagining future disasters, catastrophizing, and doubting themselves. So this tool interrupts fear-driven looping and brings you back to facts, evidence, patterns, and observable reality, which is what I'd like you to focus on. It's very important. So please feel free to check out this tool. Once again, the link is in the description under this video. It's completely free. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me via email or on my Instagram, or leave your questions in the comment section. I will get back to you and I will answer any queries. Now back to Sophie's case study. So Sophie, this is just one of the deliverables and the tools that I use in my program. There's so much more. And in my one-to-one coaching sessions, I would go through it with you together. I would explain every single tool, every single assessment. I would answer all your questions and queries and guide you through the program step by step. So in this fear versus fact mapping, fear says, I'll regret leaving, which is a question that you've already asked in the email. Maybe I'm sabotaging. You've mentioned that as well. Facts say, repeated instability, emotional inconsistency, which is super evident to me from your email, anxiety over years. As you mentioned, we've broken up 4 times in the space of 5 years. That's quite a lot. And I see that you're struggling with fear versus intuition. And I also have a tool for that in my program. What's the difference? Fear is often urgent and panic. Intuition is quieter and more consistent. So what I see from your email is your fear spikes after separation, but your clarity appears during regulation and distance. Obviously, before I give more insights and more detail, I would have to check with you your definition of cheating. I would have to ask you whether you've had a conversation before with your partner about what constitutes as cheating in your relationship. Because in my opinion, messaging other women whilst you are in a relationship does count as cheating. But once again, people's definitions vary. And I hope that during those 5 years of your relationship, you had that conversation. And if you have agreed before that messaging other women is cheating, if you are on the same page with regards to that, and if you broke your agreement, that speaks volumes to me as well. But once again, I would have to speak to you more. I'd have to ask you more questions. We would have to have a conversation about this. Once again, thank you so much for trusting me with your case, and I'm sorry to hear that you're struggling. In your email, you've told me,
I feel tense before seeing him, my chest tightens, but when he suddenly gives me attention again, I feel immediate relief and hope, almost like my nervous system calms down instantly. So the important point here is that many people mistake nervous system relief for proof that their relationship is healthy. But actually, relief after distress is not the same thing as safety. And I want you to understand this, Sophie. I truly believe that with regards to coaching on relationship decision clarity, the goal isn't to force a decision upon your clients. The goal is to help someone become clear enough that the decision becomes accessible. Because right now you're trying to make that decision from inside emotional dysregulation, attachment fear, and also cognitive confusion, which is clearly evident. I believe it's impossible to make that decision without reaching clarity first. You cannot make relationship decisions whilst you're emotionally trapped inside the relationship dynamic. Sophie, I'd like to conclude by saying that what stands out to me in your case study isn't that you don't know what you need to do. The problem here is that you're trying to access clarity from emotional overwhelm, attachment, anxiety, whilst you're being constantly pulled between fear and relief. And this is significant because when you're stuck in a cycle like this, the nervous system will confuse emotional relief with emotional safety. Once again, the goal here isn't to rush towards a decision. The goal is to become clear enough so that it doesn't feel like it's impossible to access that decision. Right now, your body, emotions, fears, attachment patterns, and thoughts are all competing for control of the narrative. You reach clarity when you stop asking, "What should I do?" and start asking, "What is actually happening here?" I want you to realize that confusion is a sign that your mind and nervous system are overwhelmed, not that you're incapable of knowing the truth. Subconsciously, you already know what's happening. You know the truth. When you slow things down to see the patterns clearly, the answer becomes quieter, but much more obvious. Right now, your nervous system is confusing emotional relief with emotional safety. And you don't need to force clarity, you just need enough distance from fear to recognize it. You need a structural way to understand what's happening emotionally, psychologically, and relationally. And this is exactly what my program does. We focus on stabilization in the first couple of modules. In the beginning of my program, we focus on emotional regulation and stabilization because clarity is almost impossible to access when your nervous system is in a constant state of anxiety, attachment panic, fear, trauma bonding, and all of that emotional overwhelm that you've described to me in your email. Then we move to understanding your values, needs, and boundaries because many women in these dynamics become super focused on preserving the relationship that they actually lose the connection with themselves. And then we objectively assess the relationship itself, the patterns, the emotional safety, the trust, the communication patterns, the attachment patterns, and the impact that your relationship is having on you emotionally and physically. You've already described to me a lot of physical symptoms, like your body reacting strongly around him. You feel tense, your chest tightens. So the impact of the relationship on your emotional, physical health is clear to me. Later on in the program, we explore the cognitive distortions, the fear-based thinking, because just like I said, very often in case studies like this, fear begins to sound like the truth. And that's why we feel stuck in this decision paralysis in the relationship, because we can no longer tell the difference between intuition, fear, attachment, trauma responses, and true, genuine clarity. Just like I said, the goal of my program isn't to tell you whether you should stay or leave the relationship. The goal is to help you understand yourself and your relationship clearly enough so that you can trust your own judgment again. Because just like I said, when clarity increases, confusion decreases. And often the answer becomes so much clearer and visible once the emotional noise settles. Thank you so much for submitting your case study, Sophie. I truly hope this helped. If you would like to have a free consultation with me, please reach out to me. We will dive into your case with more detail and address any queries and problems and concerns that you have. If any of my viewers would like to gain access to my program, be it the self-guided version or the version that's guided by me, in our one-to-one consultations, please once again message me on Instagram by texting me clarity, email me, or go to my website and submit either your case study or your question in the drop box on my website. I truly hope this helped. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section. Like the video, subscribe, and take care of yourselves. I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much.